Hello, everyone, and welcome to Twillow Talk. I'm Tanis Coughlin from the Twillow Lifestyle Community, Twillow Lifestyle Academy, and I am joined by my beautiful co-host, Jennifer Jurkofsky, and we have an amazing special guest today, Rhonda Hart. Welcome, Rhonda.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on.
We're excited to have you here. So, what's been going on? Well, we have a lot of people feeling the energies. We have a big day today, right? We got a full moon. We got all sorts of stuff happening. We've got Schumann that's at 74. We have the space weather's been kind of crazy. We had an X-class storm on the weekend. We had a whole bunch of M-class solar storms over the last bit. So it's been pretty busy. Sun had a party yesterday. Well, let's say hello to some of these people. Mm-hmm. There's Kaylee. Hello. Hey, Kaylee. Yeah, she's feeling it a lot, no doubt. And we have Gerald with Tarot Stash. Hey, Gerald. Thanks for joining us. Oh, 2 coronal mass ejections yesterday. Oh, okay, so we're in for a few days where we're going to have some stuff for sure. So that ought to be interesting, right? Let's see here. I'm just going to pull up our solar activity and show you guys where we're at with that. There we are. So you see here, we've had quite a few little flares here, right, in the last little bit. This is 25th. So today's been a little bit slower, but one big one, almost into the X here. And then this was our X class here on Saturday. So all of those, right, they just raise the vibration of the earth. They send a whole bunch of plasma shooting towards our atmosphere, which creates kind of that big spike in our energy. And so then when we look at the Schumann resonance, we're at a power of 47 today. So our standard, right, is 7.8 hertz. We have a base frequency of 7.8 hertz. And so when we're up at 47, this is quite high. You'll see here it's in the red. So this is part of what you guys are feeling. See, we have those are the big areas, right, where we've had spikies. And so you can see here, we've had a lot of spikes today in our Schumann resonance. So this would be part of what's going on for all of us. Jen, what's going on in the human design?
Well, it's interesting, even before getting into that, just thinking about, the eclipse and the moon, right? And it's interesting. So yes. In human design, we're tracking, where the moon is at each stage of it. And the moon actually enters the eclipse in Virgo and leaves in Libra. And so there's a whole bunch of energy that's being caught into that when we think about like opening for transformation and all of that. And then now just, thinking about the the solar storm and the impact that has on this energy as well. Like, just be kind to yourselves.
Self-care, everyone. Self-care.
Right. And really, like, notice the openings, right? When we talk about like this idea of, opening to emotional depth and the catalyst for spiritual growth and this kind of, intuition on one side and release on the other, and what that all means, right? Like, things are going to come up. That's part of what this energy is about, because it, when we look at like where we're at now and where we're going, we have this lunar eclipse that's all about really going in and digging it all and really kind of, I think about like the spring and the churning of the soil, right? And what that means in order to be able to make it ready for growth. And then we're going into, April is going to be this solar eclipse, which is going to bring everything that's in out. And make us really face that in the world, in how we show up and in how we interact and all. So don't be afraid to take the time to do that work, because if we don't take that time, when it comes time for the inner to come out, all kinds of stuff can happen if we're not taking care of ourselves and doing that work. Right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And so in light of the transit that we're in, this is really interesting too, because we're now in the 17th gate, and that's the gate of opinion for the shadow side, moving into farsightedness, which is the gift, and the omniscience, which is the siddhi. And when we really look at, walking this path of farsightedness, really being able to see beyond ourselves and to see beyond our beliefs and our opinions, and being able to, tap into the wholeness of what that is, we have to really take a look at this frequency within us that holds us to certain belief systems and holds us to certain opinions, and recognize, what serves us and maybe what doesn't serve us anymore, and how much that kind of rigidity or being more opinionated about something, is that there to help us on our path, or is that there to limit us and constrict us, right? So we just left that energy of constriction and moving into universal love, right? And now we're coming into this place, and we're just kind of diving a little bit deeper into what are we holding on to really that we need to release in this beautiful energy to release. And how can we really be mindful about seeing and broadening our perspective, and seeing what that brings, right? So all of the energies, as much as they're difficult, have a beautiful synchronicity right now of being able to open us and into that flow.
That old thing, right? It's happening for us, not to us. Even though it feels like it's to us, it's for us. Yeah, it's been a busy, busy week.
Mm-hmm.
So, Rhonda, we should have you tell people a bit about yourself, and then you can tell us what you think is coming. Oh, are you on mute? We can't hear you.
My name is Rhonda Hart.
There we go.
I am a psychic medium and a paranormal investigator. I am also a tarot oracle reader. And honestly, I think that this lunar eclipse is going to be all about shedding a lot of karmic energy, letting go of what doesn't serve us anymore. And the lunar eclipse is for that, and then a solar eclipse is going, like she was stating, it's going to bring in, we have to make room. If you don't let go of the stuff that no longer serves us, you don't have room for the new stuff, the good stuff.
Yeah.
So you have to clear that path out, and it's hard. We have the solar flares, and if you are empathic, man, you're just like right now, you just feel like you have this big old weighted blanket on you. But it's going to pass. You have to work through this. It's that you can't, there's no getting around it. There's no little shortcuts. So working through it is the best way to get through it. And shedding what doesn't serve you is always going to make you a better person.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we should talk about how you and I met.
Yes.
Do you want to tell that story?
We are both a member of Reiki Studio, and Kathy decided to do I think it ended up being 9 parts to it, but it was basically going through each chakra and going through like what that meant for each chakra, what foods are good for that chakra, what drinks are good, just all kinds of different types of, and so we met because we were both on the panels of that, and it was so much fun. I really enjoyed doing that.
Because the one thing that I don't think you mentioned was that you're a Reiki Master Teacher as well.
Oh yeah, sorry, yes.
Yeah. So that's how we met, was through the Reiki connection there.
Oh, very cool.
With Kathy. Mm-hmm. So yeah, we did quite a few shows. That was like at the beginning of COVID, when we were all attempting to get online and trying to figure our way out and learning how to use all this technology that none of us had used before and all that fun stuff. So Kathy was very innovative and jumped on that very quickly at the beginning of COVID. And she has a beautiful facility where she is, and lots of awesome practitioners as well that she's connected to. And I think she's one of the William Lee Rand
Yes.
certified teachers or something, right? So
I
for those of you that
I'm certified through the International Center of Reiki Training, but not
okay,
directly under William Rand.
right, yeah, my lineage goes that way. And actually, I took William's class, the one where to do the distance attunements that he had during COVID. So I did take a class with William a few years ago. So that was kind of fun. Yeah, helped. It opened up possibilities, I would say, or our vision of possibilities, what we can actually do, right? I mean, there is no time and space, but it was good to have that training. And attunements are always good, no matter when we get them.
I was being I don't know why I had this fear. Well, I had imposter syndrome, really, really horrible imposter syndrome. And so I was putting off a lot of stuff, like coming out as a psychic medium, being a teacher, even though I'm very capable of it. And literally the universe says, here's 2 students you're going to teach. And so after I taught my first class, it was just like, why haven't I been doing this?
It's amazing how that happens, eh? When we're, I always tell the story about Nukti, where I was like, so it's the Pleiadian energy that was the modality that was given to me. It's like grief relief. And it was downloaded to me one year, and then I just used it. I wasn't even sure if I was supposed to teach it or whether I was just supposed to use it. Then all of a sudden I started getting the message to use it. And I was like, okay, well, you haven't given me a manual yet, or you to teach it, I should say. You haven't given me a manual yet. Well, then, of course, 4 of my psychic friends, I want to learn that thing you do, that Nukti thing you do. So you students will arrive when you're meant to do it, right? That's usually how it works. So
whether you're ready or not.
yes, we have to trust they will prepare us.
Well, and also just that idea that, like, if we waited until we were ready for anything, we'd never do anything.
True. Yes, it's about jumping in, trusting, right? So
Janice and I have a very similar beginning in how we started with Reiki. And that was one thing that was so unusual and really connected us, because once we got to know each other and we shared each other's stories, we were blown away how many similarities that we have.
it's true.
When I started doing Reiki, I gained an Archerian guide.
Yep.
Who's helped me do Reiki since day one, since I became a master. But my purpose of doing Reiki is so different than the majority of people of why they do Reiki, because I'm a paranormal investigator. So I knew that if I became a master, I could help people paranormal wise. And so literally, but I had never even had a session. I just knew that if I took the class that I could accomplish that. And I had gifted myself a class for Christmas in 2017. And I had one session and I was hooked. I was so blown away at how the energy felt and how much better I felt after I had my session. And then the person who gave me Reiki offered me a class and I jumped on. There was no turning back from that point.
Yeah. Yeah, we joke about it being our gateway drug to all the rest of the stuff we do.
Yeah, it's true.
So does that mean that a lot of your clients are of a different dimension? Are you giving the paranormal Reiki?
I'm always very open-minded, so I'm open to anything. I always feel like I'm constantly learning too, because I also feel like I was very gifted, but I had zero support growing up, and I had really shut my gifts down hard. And Reiki really helped me open that back up for me. And then the more you, like, it's like anything, the more you use it, the more you do it, the more it grows. And it's just, it's been phenomenal. Like, I would have never, if you would have asked me if I was going to have an Arcturian guide in 2017, I would have thought you were probably crazy. And like,
I would have been like, what's that?
yeah, but it just seemed, I have a friend whose name's John Tenney, and he's been a paranormal investigator for a really long time, and he's just one of the coolest people I know. And he is, he said, never say it can't get weirder because it always does. And
Yes.
it's the truth. So I always keep a super open mind. And I don't ever stop learning. I don't ever stop learning stuff. And that's to me, that's the best part. You just keep learning more and more and more. And so the more open-minded you are, the more you can connect.
It's true. It's true. So when you go out and do your paranormal investigations, what does that entail for you?
For me personally, we try to do, even though there are gifted people on the team, some really gifted people on my team. I'm with Martyr Paranormal, but we try to do a scientific, like, we're stuff what we can try to prove.
Mm-hmm.
But we just did an investigation on Saturday, and we used the, I don't know if I can talk about too much of it, just because
Of course, yeah. Do
our evidence and stuff like that. But
yeah.
we did the Estes method. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that. It's where you take a spirit box, somebody puts on a blindfold and headphones, so you literally can't see or hear anything. All you can literally is connect to the spirit box and listen to words that are popping out. And other people outside that are around you are asking questions. You cannot hear or see them. And it's really weird how you can connect and have an entire conversation with the spirit, even though the one person cannot see or hear what the other people are doing.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's really cool. But like you literally can get anything coming through there. It doesn't have to be human. So it's just, it's super cool.
That is neat. So this is a way for people, so the spirit box is a way for people that are not particularly clairaudient to hear what's going on in the other dimensions.
Which is honestly,
basically.
Probably out of all the clairs is probably can be my weakest.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So do you see stuff when you're out at the stuff? Is that how you're getting your messages?
Yes. At times, yeah.
Okay.
Whether it be like in person, like physically see them, or in my mind's eye, because a lot of times it just, like, sometimes it's my mediumship and sometimes it's my psychic ability that picks it up.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I can literally visually see it in my mind's eye, but not physically see it. But I'll have another psychic medium that can physically see it and will describe the exact same thing to a T.
Yeah, it's so cool when that happens. Jen and I do that kind of stuff often when we've done some clearings and stuff. We've done house
It's the
clearing.
beauty of that. You can't make this stuff up.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It doesn't
It's
just
true.
come to each person in their own unique way, but so clearly and completely connected,
Mm-hmm.
right? Just by happenstance.
I'm getting tingles on my head for that too.
My favorite thing, saying for people, and honestly, because I do home blessings as well. So like if somebody's got an issue with their home, I can go try to help alleviate it. But I always make stress to people. I am a advocate for both sides. So as much as I love helping the living, I'm there to help the dead as much as I am the living, and they have to understand that.
Yeah, I mean, healing involves getting to know. For me, healing is a learning journey,
Mm-hmm.
right? So really, I think when we go out and play that role, we're really helping both sides of the situation to learn about each other. Because when people don't understand what's happening, it creates fear. And so we want to keep people out of that fear space. So really, I think, what you do is great, because you're going out and I'm getting chills on that.
Mm-hmm.
So apparently that's a good thing to say. So yeah, so it's about getting that shared understanding of what's happening, and why is this person that has crossed, why are they having a hard time in the house or in the wherever it is that they are, and helping to cross them over so that they can find the peace they need too. So
well, it's one of the fundamentals with releasement, right? Is it's not you against anything.
Right.
It's how do we come together and figure out what's going to be best for the whole.
Well,
Exactly.
the hardest thing for the living to understand is that if you go into a house that was typically somebody else's, and even though they're deceased, they lived there for a really long time and they fell in love with it, and that's why they chose to come back to it. And if they're not negative, I can't force them to leave. Like, it's their house just as much as, like, it's not their house anymore in a sense because they're not on this realm, but you have to learn to share. And a lot of people are most of the time are not too happy about that. But like, I can't force a spirit to cross over, nor would I. They have free will. So like, if they're just like, no, this is my house, you have to tell them and teach them how to they have to coexist. Typically, if you honor an area in the house and let them know that this is yours, I'm not going to bother you, it's just mutual respect. It typically that will alleviate the situation. But yeah, you can't make a spirit, you can't force them to leave, you can't force them to cross over, and especially if they're not negative. So if it's negative, then it's a different situation. I can help. But
it is, yeah.
Well,
it's better for them to cross over. So I strongly encourage is what I do.
I always try to, but you can't. Yeah, they won't. I have had a situation where it was a mother and a son, and the son was autistic. And they were convinced that they were demons in their house because stuff was being knocked down. And honestly, it was just the autistic child having, well, he was an adult, but you know how they're childlike mind. He was having an episode if he was in real life, and he was knocking stuff over, but none of it was intentional. But they were, because of lack of understanding, they literally thought they had a demon. But it was just, it was this autistic child was very confused and didn't understand what was going on, didn't understand it wasn't their house anymore and all of that. And that was awesome because we actually were able to get his brother come from the other side to cross him over. And we asked him for a sign when he crossed over. And we all heard a very loud one single bell stroke.
Beautiful.
And there was no way to debunk it. Like, there was nothing that made that sound. Like, there was not, she didn't even have a bell in the house. So, but it was just like, yeah. So, but the mother refused to leave.
Oh.
We could not, we were able to cross him over, but the mom and they were not very happy about having to coexist or share the house, but she wasn't leaving her house. The house, she had it built for her. And so we were able to alleviate some of this situation, but just not all of it.
It's amazing what attachment comes and what it does to us on many levels.
It's true. Yeah. So I just want to say hello to a couple of people that have come in. So we have It's Very Different Energy. This is from Shem. So hey, Shem, how's it going? This too. We have to make room for the new. And it's a little heavy today. Yeah, it is.
Yep, like a weighted blanket.
Yep.
That's the only way for me to describe it. Like, we have a weighted blanket on us.
Absolutely. And welcome, Sonia. Great to have you. Thank you for joining us. And I think this is to connect her to here. So that's awesome. Please correct me if I'm wrong with that, Shem, but I think it's suggesting she watch. Yeah.
Wow.
So what have you experienced, Jen, in terms of that?
Well, it's interesting because you were talking about, about what we are allowed and not allowed to do. And I love the fact, Tanis and I both often say, and it's so much in line with what you're sharing, Rhonda, we do what we're told, but it's really about what we have permission to do.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right? At no point is any one being more powerful than another being to demand or control what that being does. Right? And so being able to really step into that, I was actually reminiscing of a house that I had wanted to buy that was so perfect. And there were other things that lived on that property. In this case, not necessarily ones that have passed over, but just other dimensional. And they had a right to be there. And they were not energies that I could comfortably live with, and they were not energies that wanted to comfortably live with me. And that's okay. Right?
They need to disagree.
Well, and that's it. And I remember even for a long time, we would talk about it. Anytime I would even bring up the house, they would start yelling at me. It's like,
Yeah.
I'm not buying. It's not even for sale anymore. I'm not coming there. Our energies don't mix. It's not my place to move you along. It's okay. Right? But
Yeah.
I think we often just go, I want it, right? And then there's that like Gollum moment of I'm going to do whatever I can do in order to make it mine.
I want it.
We don't have the right or the authority to do that, even though sometimes we think we do. And so that ability to have acceptance and to share space and to recognize that, we are one, but we are all. And that's a really important component. And what we do to any other entity, we hold space for within ourselves. So we really have to be mindful of what that means.
It's true. That is true. Welcome, Monica.
I deal with elementals occasionally, and there are good and bad. But that's like a very unique situation when you have to try to explain to somebody that they're not only sharing their house, but their entire property and probably like a lot of property around them with an elemental, and how they need to try to make peace with it.
Yeah.
Because it's been there for thousands of years. It's not going anywhere. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot that are territorial, right? Like we've got pachyderms for every like so many, I don't know, square feet, whatever it is. But like there's a lot, right? And they have territories too. Like everything has its place.
So Jen, some people might not know what a pachyderm is.
A protective, most of the time. It's protective in its own way. I mean, hippos are protective, right? For different territories, and they have their own territories. And so they are kind of the embodiment of that area, right? And so it is important to ask permission to be in their space when you move somewhere.
Yeah, it's amazing when you start thinking about all the different layers to all of this, right? We've got different dimensions. So what dimension are they in, Jen, the pachyderms?
I've never asked them.
Because I know like elementals are in like around the 5th dimension for the most part. They're a little higher than us. And, it's interesting because the legend I was told was that actually there are half brothers and sisters in terms of species. So Adam was down before with Lilith, and they created the elementals. And then when they crossed over, Adam came back, and Lilith didn't want to come back. And so Eve came with him to create humans. So that's the legend that I've heard, anyways. And so they are more advanced than us in terms of their evolution, I guess, their spiritual evolution. But not too much more, because they still have a lot of the same sort of personality traits as we do. Like you're saying, there's some that are not so good and some that are good, and that's kind of, like humans, we are a blend. We're the whole gamut as a species, and so are they, right?
Well, I think the most fascinating thing I learned that I honestly, just because of lack of information and know-how, and this is why ufology is so important, is the first time I went to a UFO convention, I had actually never even talked about my experience. I had never told anybody nothing. just because you convince yourself, you're not even sure if it really happened, because it's like, because you don't, like on a normal everyday conversation here, other people talk about stuff or stuff like that. So I went, and not only did I learn that there's more than one species, but there's so many, and they're different, and some are nice and some are not. And yeah, it was like, and that's
Just
Archerians and Palladians, and all of it was mind blowing, but so eye opening at the same time. And like, I don't know, it's one of those things like you were talking about, like once you go down that rabbit hole, like there's no coming back. You just want to
Once
know
you
more,
see
more,
stuff,
more.
well, and once you see some of this stuff, you can't unsee it. Just like once you've heard something like that, you know, heard about it, you can't dismiss it in the same way, right? Which is why education that we do is so important about all of this too.
Just like the downloads.
Yeah.
Are we like, do we actually know exactly where they come from? We know we get them. We know we get, some people call them downloads, some people call them upgrades, but another thing I tell people, don't get caught up on terminology. People may word something different, but you're most likely talking about the exact same thing.
Yeah, exactly.
It's such a beautiful concept in the energy that we're in, right? With the shadow of opinions and getting very caught up in a particular way of understanding something, right? The mind it's such a fascinating thing, especially ours, because it's so limited in what it understands and how it comprehends, and the fact that it wants to, you know, label everything, and it wants to have a reason for everything. And the reality is there is so much in this world that is way beyond what our mind can understand, comprehend, or even accept half the time, right? And so that openness is such an important piece.
There's a question.
What are downloads? They are when you receive enhancements to your gifts. I'm not sure if there's another way to put that, but that's how I would put it. That what's happened to me is when I can tell you Lionsgate, August 1st last year, I did, that was such a magical, it was a super moon and Lionsgate, and I did a meditation, and I can't even begin to explain to you, but all I know is that I had been struggling with some stuff, and it was just after I did this meditation, I had this download, it all just was clear as day. Like I had known it, but I know before that meditation, I knew I didn't know it.
Mm-hmm.
Just enhanced information for your gifts.
Yeah. Well, I think we get downloads about all sorts of things, you know, sometimes just like so for me, in my frame of reference, I guess we'll say, downloads are like what you say, they're like this incoming of information or energy that's supposed to be there to help enhance us. But then you might have the upgrade, which for me is a bit different. That might be more of a physical thing even, or an energetic upgrade, which means they're actually like up-leveling your frequency, or they're like lately they've been really changing and altering our DNA at a cellular level. And so that can be the thing too, right? So it is, I mean, the terminology, it is different for everybody, right? We all use kind of those key words, but they might be a little different for each person.
Right. And in my world, I talk about being open and curious, right? And allowing that opening to bring more information in, to bring more insight in, more understanding, to release biases and conditioned thinking. And whenever we have a download, it's a reprogramming, right? It's the ability to, you know, take some of these old programs that we have and to revamp them, right? Yeah. And that upgrade, you know, again, from the system, it's like, okay, it's this new open way of being able to be in the world, right? That allows for new and more experience and more understanding. And just, again, openness for me is such a big term in that, and just more openness. And it's really neat to see, you know, the different ways that we express these things, but again, they're all very connected.
Absolutely. And the three of us are coming at this from sort of different bodies of knowledge, we'll say, right? Because Jen is a psychologist as well.
Psychotherapist.
Yes, psychotherapist. I am a Celtic shamanic high priestess energy healer, right? And then, you're coming at it from a different angle again as a paranormal investigator, as a Reiki. The one thing that we all have is similar is that we're all Reiki masters. So for that, I think it's interesting because even for the school, like all of the teachers are Reiki masters. It wasn't planned that way necessarily, but they do seem to all, well, maybe there's a couple of exceptions, but for the most part, we all have some Reiki. And so there's like a common lingo that you can create through that, right? When you have similar training. And the differences are amazing though, because they just add to diverse ways of doing things and all of that stuff.
I've actually added to my title recently.
Mm-hmm.
I am a spiritual reverend.
Ooh,
So
nice.
since I do the home blessings, I am not tied to one religion. I can do anybody's home. I can
Awesome.
come to your home and honor your religion to help you with your situation.
Beautiful.
So that's a very unique thing.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, so you've got that kind of a background too. And Jen's actually, what are you? You're
I'm
in
ordained.
the spiritual ordained minister.
Yeah.
That's
Yes.
the term I was looking for.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm ordained through a denomination, and that allows me to, legally perform marriages and all of that.
Yep, me too.
Here,
Yeah.
Here it's a little,
Ontario's very strict about what they
Yeah,
what they
they
let you
are.
do or don't do.
You can be ordained and be any religion
Yeah.
in the States. So I'm super blessed that way.
Yeah, the States is way more open.
Yeah,
absolutely.
allowing that. But it's interesting too, right? I remember even when I went through my process for my ordination, I was very open. It's through a Christian denomination, but I was very open about the fact that I have that in my background, but I also have many faiths in my background, and very much come from a spiritual rather than religious perspective. And to see that and to see that they were open with that was a beautiful thing for me to experience as I went through it.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm able to marry people in the States. I can't marry them at home. So, yeah, it's fascinating.
Yeah, I could do the license in Quebec too, but I have to start a church. And that just seems really like a lot of work.
So we're not going to have the My Holistic Self Church.
It would be the Perpetual Wonderment Ministry. That's what
right. That's what it was.
Through.
Perpetual Wonderment.
But who knows? I don't know. I need a petition of, so many people in Quebec. So if you happen to be in Quebec watching and you want a very open kind of religious affiliation that's not religious and just spiritual, hey, we could maybe get that rolling.
Yeah, she's in Ontario. Mm-hmm. She'd have to move if she was going to do that.
You could still come if it ever happens.
Yeah. So we do.
I do a lot of stuff in Windsor. What types of Reiki? Oh, she wants to know what types of Reiki you are. Like, do you do Karuna? Are you Holy Fire?
Mm-hmm. I am attuned to Karuna, Yasui, and then I do other kinds of energy healing, similar to Reiki, but not. Mm-hmm. So I do Aqua Lead, which is an energy healing that heals the water within the body. I do Nocti, which heals grief and trauma at a cellular level. It reprograms the cytoplasm within the cell so that it doesn't hold on to that frequency. And Jen taught us Sekam, mm-hmm. which is another one. I'll let you talk about that one.
Egyptian based, so with Sekhmet and understanding, the healing energies of the elements and all of that through an Egyptian perspective.
Mm-hmm. I recently got downloaded a new one actually called Nagara. And actually Fogo Pogo that's on here, Kaylee and I were together when that came in. And yes, we definitely give classes. I'm getting lots of questions here. Mm-hmm. We definitely give classes. That's the that's why we opened the Twillow Lifestyle Academy, for sure. And thank you, Margie. That's awesome.
Oh, thanks, Margie.
Wonderful.
I am Holy Fire, and I also call it energy healing, but I draw from Mother Earth when I do that, because when I'm doing Reiki, sometimes I feel people are really not grounded, so that but to me, I'm pulling from two different sources when I'm doing that. So I'm pulling from the universal energy, and then pulling from Mother Earth directly. And people have said that they could physically feel the difference too. When I've done it.
It's amazing how you can feel the difference in the different energies, eh?
Yeah. It's
so
pretty
actually let's do it. Shall we do it? Are you up for that, Rhonda?
What is it?
Send
what?
We're gonna send energy.
I didn't know if you meant like energy healing or Reiki.
Let's send energy healing in our different modalities, but we'll take turns and see if people
we don't
feel
want to
it
send all
different.
of that at once. That's going to be like zzz.
Yeah, no. We need to focus on the different ones. So let's do the unique ones, because almost everybody's felt Reiki. So let's do the unique ones. Do you want to do Sakam, Jen? So we'll start with Jen doing Sakam.
I like to take my rings off. I do. It's a thing.
So those of you that are watching, close your eyes and just feel the energy as we send the energy in different waves, okay? So Jen's going to go first with the Egyptian Sakam. Awesome. Thank you. So those of you that are in the audience, please write down what you felt. Okay? Actually, I'm going to ask you to write down S dash whatever you felt. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
We'll answer your questions in just a sec. Do you want to send out yours, Rhonda? So your energy healing modality, that is the combined one. So she's got some pet helpers. Awesome. If I do this, she looks like she's getting into my head. Sorry. Yeah, I'm the class clown, guys.
Your cat loves energy work. You can tell.
Animals always love the energy, don't they?
Mm-hmm.
So funny. Okay, I'm going to do Nukti, I guess. I'll do Nukti and then do a little bit of this Nigera because I want you guys to give me your feedback on that, okay? So for the last one, please put in how it felt. And let's call it, just do E dash, whatever it felt like, okay? So we're doing energy healing for that one, or earth, whichever. I'm going to send Nukti now, okay? Okay, so that was Nukti. So please put an N dash whatever you felt with that one, okay? And Kaylee, if you'd like to help out, please, with the Nagara, that would be awesome. Here comes Nagara. Okay.
It reminds me of Shambhala energy, but with a little bit more galactic focus.
Mm-hmm. It is galactic focused for sure.
So Shambhala energy.
For you in the audience, if you can put a G for that one, for Nagara, put a G and how you felt with that Nagara energy, please. What did you think, Rhonda?
So Jennifer's energy felt like an actual vibe. Like I could physically feel a vibration.
Mm-hmm.
It was really unusual, almost as if like a very gentle massage gun. Like you could definitely like there was a vibration to the energy. When you did your first one, Tanis, it literally felt like you were being hugged by an angel. I don't know how else to explain that.
Beautiful. Yeah.
And then the other one was just very intense energy, very strong, intense. And I didn't feel like you could feel the energy, but there wasn't like the vibrations to like either time that you did yours. They were just a completely different type of energy, how you felt it compared to Jennifer's.
Mhm.
And part of that is because my two are galactic. And Jen's is more earth-based, as was yours.
I mean,
It's
kind
a
of. If you
blend.
think about Egyptian and where it comes from.
Well, yeah, I mean, it is more galactic, but I think that it started here as opposed to being from there. I think that, Sekhmet was here, so it's blended. It's more ancient too, I think, in terms of yours, right?
It's
Because it's
yeah,
been around a long time.
for a really long time.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, and even though, like I was saying, it reminds me of the Shambolic energy because that's really connected with like ascended master energy and the violet flame and things like that. And it's interesting because that's the energy feels like similar, but again, like I said, yours has this bit of like galactic or twist to it. I don't know how else to put it, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, the one I did was the Sekhmet, not the Shambhala. I can share that one if you guys want. But it's
Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
Wow.
Let's do the Shambhala energy. That's right. You do that one too.
It's interesting because this energy, like most of them, is multidimensional. And what comes as I'm channeling it today, which doesn't always happen, is the earth just going more. So those of you who do energy, whatever it is that you feel called to do, we just take a moment and give some energy to the earth.
Absolutely. So all of you that want to join us, please join us. It's beautiful. What I'm feeling as we're doing that is just this huge heart opening.
Mm-hmm.
So Gaia is really like giving back,
Mm-hmm.
The more we give to her, the more she can spread that. So what a beautiful, beautiful thing. So if you guys are inclined out there, please do that over the next little while. I'm sure she can use the energy. Yeah, pink energy. So let's look at some of these. We haven't been looking at the
see what you guys are feeling.
Let's see what people are feeling. I kind of I stopped looking at stuff. So do you cover tarot subjects? Yes, we do. Sonia asked if we give classes. Yes, with the Twillow Lifestyle Academy. And, thank you. Just getting good vibes from all of us. That's awesome. Thank you so much. And then we have, how would you advise a master teacher who is too chicken to get going on her future in Reiki? Okay. Well, I think any of us probably do some coaching in that regard. I know I have a few that I'm coaching right now about getting their business started and that kind of thing. I'm an HR consultant as well, so I do that, and I've done applied management classes as well, or a certificate in applied management. So I can certainly have a chat with you about the business side. I think all of us have our own experiences with it. So if you could be a little more specific in what kind of things you're struggling with, maybe that would be helpful.
She's a personal friend of mine.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm.
And honestly, I think she just I think she has imposter syndrome, very much like I did, and even doing Reiki on other people, like all of it, even though she's very capable of it, like for some reason just intimidates her. I think that she's afraid that she'll do it and somebody will say, well, yeah, I didn't feel anything. But okay. She's got to remember she's just the vessel.
Yes.
The Reiki is going to work no matter what.
That's right. We're just channels for the energy.
Coming.
Yeah. We're just channels for the energy, right? You just have to allow. And the more you relax, actually, Margie, that's something, the more you relax, the more it will flow. So if you're stressed out about it, then it's not going to flow as well as you would love. So making sure that you have like a nice deep breath, right? As you start. So I always start and I'm like, and do my grounding cord and open my crown and allow the energies to come in and then allow. But it's really practice, right? It's really the more you practice. So find those guinea pigs in your family or your friends. Just do it. Just do it for them. So then you don't have the judgment.
Just let it flow. I did my Reiki Master 12 years ago. I did it for me, and I did it for my kids. And I remember thinking, okay, what do I want to do with this? And the universe just said, let it flow. And so I did. And I would go for a walk and the Reiki would flow. I'd meet somebody and the Reiki would flow. I would go somewhere and the Reiki would flow. Yeah. And I just allowed. And the more that I allowed, the more I realized I'm not making the decisions here. It's going where it needs to go, when it needs to go there.
Yeah.
And that's it, right? So this whole idea of, am I good enough? Can I do it? What if the person feels it? What if they feel it, and it's not good? What if they don't feel it at all? All of that, that's on everybody else. Our job is to just let it flow.
The other bit of advice I would say is that if they don't feel it, it doesn't mean that it's not working, right? Because everybody has their own sensitivity level. And so I'll do all sorts of stuff with people, and sometimes there'll be somebody that doesn't feel it at all. And I often will just reassure them, it's okay. We all have different sensitivity levels. Just because you're not feeling it, it just may mean that your clairsentience isn't as strong as somebody else's. It doesn't mean that it's not working. So, yeah.
I used to, when I started out, I was so bashful, so shy. Like I knew they teach you how to do the bioscan.
Yeah.
But because of lack of confidence and my imposter syndrome, I used to use a pendulum because I could trust my pendulum, but I couldn't trust myself, which is silly because it was my higher self talking to me anyway. So, but that's how I had to get over that. But then I started receiving messages and it was like, oh my God, why am I getting this? And trying to do Reiki. And finally, I finally just told myself, why am I not doing this? Like, I'm getting messages for a reason. And then I finally said, the worst they're going to say, they don't know what I'm talking about. Like, that's the worst. And then it was like, well, the message wasn't for you. But I have yet to have that happen. So I get messages, I give them, and like they always seem to be exactly what they need to hear. So
I have had that
yeah,
where it hasn't resonated with them, but then I get a call from them the
Yeah.
next day saying, I left your house and such happened, like you said. It's like- so they have to trust that, they need to know this, and for whatever reason. It may not be immediately
so yeah, going with
obvious.
the flow honestly is the best way, just because.
Getting out of our own way.
Yeah.
Right? The mind will do so many different things to try to convince us that all of this is whatever. The reality is the mind has no clue. And that's okay.
And that's okay. Yeah. So I'm just gonna read these out for the different ones, just because it'll be easier than just flipping them over the screen. So for the Sakam, we had comments like that it felt like love, strong energy through her body, tickles, love, warmth. Oh, so this is for R. Oh, I think that's you, Rhonda R. Warmth and the color blue. And calmer, tingles. We had one here for Sekam still, maternal support. And then we go to Nukti, and it was grounding, the color yellow, and tingles, calming, felt it in the third eye. Then we did Nigara, took me to a higher realm. It was electric, feels like a hug. Sekam was intense chills, heart chakra. Rhonda's was hands activated. Felt heavier, so like a little bit denser of an energy, because of course you're pulling earth energy up. And then Nukti, chills, throat and heart. So
And the last one that you did, Jennifer, to me, it felt like energy swirling around me.
yeah. I experienced both of those ones. So Nigara, when I'm giving it, and when you gave the Shambhala, they both feel, for me, they felt almost like a pulsating.
Yeah.
More. Like when I'm giving the Nigara, it's like a pulse almost. And the Nukti for me is kinetic feeling, is what it feels like. So I think, we're all different. We're all going to feel it in different ways. But I had one user here that this is for Shambhala, I think.
Okay.
Pink energy. Okay. She feels changes coming, but very unsure of what she's getting. Well, I think a lot of us are doing that. A lot of us are feeling those changes coming. This is a very transformative time. And I think, I'm certainly feeling that, like an anticipatory energy.
Yeah. Well, and we're in energy right now to really release and expand. I mean, that's very much what this is about. And it was interesting because as I was getting the the earth wanting the Shambhala, and you were talking about like that opening, what came back to me was even what we were talking about earlier about the churning, right? The churning of the soil to make room to begin to grow. And what that means, like with planting the seeds and then having that grow and all of that. And it's such a fertile time for us to be able to expand.
Yeah.
Right. And part of that is going to be releasing and change. And that's hard. But it's
uncomfortable.
Yeah. Well, it's, it's different, and different is not always easy, but it's beautiful.
Now, we usually finish up with a card, Jen.
Yes.
Yes. So this is our card for the week. It's like a mantra card, right?
It's Yeah, action. So we pull from this deck of the Seeds from the Sacred Feminine. It's beautiful. So let's see what is this? Woo! Okay, that one jumped right out. Interesting. Reuse something.
Oh, okay.
And look at that. It's got the moon cycles on there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? And that energy. What a,
Ooh, so reuse the energy we just sent you.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. Pay it forward.
And then, can you see?
There it is.
Curiosity, what sparks your interest?
Ooh, very good.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I guess if we're all picking one, I'll pick one too.
And honestly, this is really good about letting go of what no longer serves you, because like she was saying, we tend to get in our own way.
Yes.
So stop doing that. What sparks your interest? Go for it. Like, stop letting it hold you back.
And of course, I got let it go.
You can't make this stuff up.
This situation no longer serves you. Allow me to sever your energetic connections to the past so you can embrace the future. So what does your explanation there say, Jen?
Okay, so here we go. I'll just hold that up for you, and then we'll read. All right, reuse something. It is time to remember the wisdom of your ancestors and look at your wasteful habits, grandchild. Your ancestors wasted nothing and used every part of an animal for food, clothing, and tools. Your grandparents were also thrifty and made use of every jar and every piece of cloth, wire, and thread. They understood that Mother Earth could provide for all their needs. They also knew that using her resources was a privilege. Are you caught up in this throwaway attitude? Your sacred feminine is calling you to stop and reuse, return to balance. Before you buy a new item, check the secondhand shop for a good used one. Look around your home and see what can be reused. Milk cartons could be the next spring's planters. That oversized pickle jar can be made into a sprouting container. What creative things can you come up with to help reduce Mother Earth's burden? How can you help her generate new life? As you journey on this earth walk, remember that your ancestors' wisdom is inside of you. Ask them to help you do your part in creating a cleaner world.
Beautiful.
It's like I have tingles with that, especially because of what came with the energy and Mother Earth saying, yes, more.
That's right.
Show how this goes along with spring and.
Oh yeah, it's beautiful flower.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Oh, that's lovely.
So all about like what's going to happen. You like,
Yeah,
she was
we're all
saying,
blossoming.
letting go of what doesn't serve, and then you can bloom for new, more amazing energy.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So what's going on for you, Rhonda? Do you have any events or anything? When's your next podcast?
I am doing that. I have to do that this week because it's March, and like I kind of waited to the last minute, but I am actually doing it with my very good friend Sonia. My podcast is called Reiki Realm, and I do it in the Reiki Studio group. And we are going to talk about her. So she's very unique because her culture is Mexican. This is why I love working at her shop, because I am Celtic. And she's Mexican, so we're learning from each other the differences that we have. And she does an energy work called Limpia.
Oh, nice.
It's with an egg. It's very common in her culture, but very different for like what we do. But she's also a very trained Reiki Master Teacher.
Beautiful.
And so I'm going to be talking to her, and we're going to be talking about all kinds of stuff. So I'm super excited. And I have an event in Oxford, Michigan next month it would probably be the only event that I'm doing Reiki, but I do teach Reiki at the shop and do Reiki at the shop as well as readings.
And where is your shop? Where are you living?
Allen Park, Michigan, and it is Calavera Rose.
Beautiful. Thank you. And Jen, what have you got going on this week?
Well, before this, I was on with Gerald Tarot Stash, and we did our second talk on human design authorities. So if you're interested in human design, you can go check out that playlist. and we'll do our next one. I think we've got them like a month apart, but we're just slowly
Cool.
and steadily getting through them. Yeah, and I think this Wednesday we've got a recording coming up for Therapists in Conversation,
We do.
which should come out at the beginning of next month on YouTube.
Yep.
And yeah, that's
Awesome. So we've got a lot going on in the next little bit for the school as well. So we have tomorrow night, we have a vision board class with Jacqueline to get prepared for the eclipse energy so that we can bring in all that new stuff. We can decide what we're going to be bringing in. We have the first class of the channeling spiritual communication class on Wednesday. And that's going to be a 9-week class. That one is with me. And we have the other stuff that you were talking about there. And then when we look at the following week, what have we got going on the following week? Let's see. More of the same. I have a Reiki 2. It's an in-person one. So if you're in Ottawa and you're looking for Reiki 2, we do have that on the 6th. And we have Reiki Master coming up later this month as well, or next month, the 14th. So yeah, lots going on. We've got open mic next Friday, because we had open mic. That's our Friday evening that I do with Ramsey Chidi, our podcast. So that's in 2 weeks. Awesome. Well, it was such a pleasure having you, Rhonda. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yes, thank you so much for having me on.
And if you're looking to get a hold of Rhonda, look below. It's in the notes in our comments section, or below the video. All right, all of the contact there. She's got a Linktree.
Yeah.
Linktree, yes.
I'm on all the social media: TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all of them.
awesome.
Yeah, Rhonda's Mystic Solutions is her business name if you're looking for her. Okay, we've got nope, this way on the bottom.
Yeah.
Under Jen. So thank you. Yes, right there. So go check it out. And we'll be back here next week. So have an awesome week, everyone. And thank you so much for joining us all. Sending you tons of love and light for a wonderful week. Bye now.